You're listening to the A Bit From Within podcast with Felicia Marty. But I just wanted to get to this place where I could just have a moment to really feel what I feel grateful for when there is so much that feels hard and overwhelming and worth resenting. Because those are the moments that I think the gratitude counts the most. Hello there, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me for a new episode of the A Bit From Within podcast. I'm Felicia, and I'm so excited to be sharing this moment of sitting in what is starting to become a very sacred space for me. It's the closet that I have, and it's where I've recorded for a long time, actually, since the beginning, but I have recently begun doing all of my meditation in here as well. And then that kind of leads to me just coming in here whenever I feel like the world's about to fall apart. And what's kind of ironic about that is one of my closest friends who I've been actually pen pals with since I was like 12 or 13 years old. So a very, very long time. We would always kind of joke about how when life got really hard, we wish we could just go into the closet and just be kind of protected from everything. And now here I am, like actually doing that. I should let her know that that's where I am. I'm sure she'll get a kick out of that. I want to kind of begin today's episode just by saying a heartfelt thank you to everybody who's been kind of sharing different episodes on social media and shouting out the A Bit From Within podcast, or just even messaging me, letting me know that the things have been resonating with you guys. It really means a lot to me. I know I've touched on that before at the end of episodes, but I really wanted to open with that because, I think when I started this podcast, it was just to be able to put out that whatever I was going through, hoping that it did resonate with somebody. Even if it didn't resonate right away, like sometimes some of my favorite podcast episodes I've found kind of by chance, or when I was searching for one thing in particular, or I didn't find out about it until, a couple years after they started, and then I can go back to the beginning and listen to all of them. And I just thought this would be kind of a cool project, or maybe it would matter. But then finding out that it does matter, and it's kind of a part of each of your kind of weekly ritual or something that you look forward to, it kind of blows my mind a little bit, and it makes me just feel like I'm not alone, and I hope it helps you feel like you're not alone. And I will also say that like this past week has been really hard for me. I really feel like I've hit a breaking point with my stress and with everything going on. And I was having a little bit of a meltdown this morning, which I might share more about here in a minute, but I was saying, and then I need to record my podcast. And I was on the phone with my mom, kind of processing through all of this. And she was like, Felicia, like you've been really diligent, and I know I love listening to your podcast, but like you don't have to do that. And I kind of just was like, but I kind of do, because as much as this is for everybody else, it's also for me, right? It's part of my weekly ritual to sit down and to kind of distill a message. And it's kind of become like a, I don't know, public, I guess the word diary comes to mind, but I don't really know if that's the truth either. But in a way, it's just like, being able to really share and distill what I've been thinking about, which has been really, really good for me. So thank you for being a part of this journey. Thank you for holding space for me. And I hope that when you listen to this, you somehow feel like I'm holding space for you as well, because I know we're all going through so much right now. And I really do feel like there's just so much going on. And on top of everything, I didn't touch much on it last week, but astrologically, we have just entered into this Mercury retrograde period. And, I heard this astrologer who was on TikTok, but he was kind of talking about how, you can't listen to every the way a person describes like a retrograde or a square or like different things in astrology and say like, well, this is exactly how you're going to experience it or what's going to happen for you. Because the truth is, you're going to experience your life and like what you're working on no matter what. And I think the, different aspects or the different things happening astrologically can just help us frame it a little bit differently. Maybe it brings stuff up for us, but it's what we do with it that's what matters. It's not like these curses or these blessings or these, good luck or bad luck. It's about what we make of what we've been given and what we're dealing with. And that's true of any moment in life. And the thing about retrogrades, and it's funny because I had told my sister, yeah, and Mercury's going retrograde, because I swear you guys, I've been feeling the effects of Mercury retrograde, because Mercury rules communication, technology, travel. And I have been dealing with like some major, horrible, stupid issues with my computer. Like, it's been so slow. I've been getting so much of that rainbow wheel of death. And gotta breathe into that. And just random things that have just been like emails that are getting lost, that shouldn't be getting lost, responses that I thought were sent that aren't sent, problems with this software that I use all the time that just the only thing that I need it to work is just not working. And the company who I use through this software has to talk to their software developer who they can't figure it out because it's such a big problem. It's like such a big part of the code. It's such a weird thing that's not working. And it's literally been like 2.5 weeks. And actually today, of all days, I was able to get a fix for it. So the program didn't get fixed, but I was able to find my fix. And that is a great example of sometimes what the retrograde can bring us is like sometimes things start to fall apart a little bit during the retrograde, like little mishaps can happen or things start to break down. But sometimes you can also find actual like resolutions to the things that you've been trying to solve. And it can be a really good time to go back into your past and really try to figure out, what do you need to reconcile? What do you need to kind of reimagine or fix or tune or adjust? So we'll see. We'll see how all of this retrograde kind of shakes out. This retrograde Mercury will be in Libra for this entire time. Kind of, I think it'll be a really maybe important moment just with knowing that Mercury's in Libra, just talking about relationships and being honest with each other, standing up for ourselves, making sure that we're being fairly represented in our relationships with others. And that can be really, really hard. And I will just say my last little piece of this thought on this Mercury retrograde is any kind of retrograde is just a really good chance to kind of, I think, slow down and really find your bearings. And right now there are actually quite a few planets that are retrograde. And for me, I don't know about you guys, but I'm just feeling that overwhelming sensation that it's time to slow down. And it's really hard because for me right now in my life, I really feel like I can't slow down. And I'm trying to find the ways where I'm wrong about that. I'm really trying to challenge myself. And sometimes I'm having some good moments where I'm slowing down, tuning in, finding my feet beneath me. And I've also, especially this past week, have had quite a few bad moments, like really, really bad moments. I feel like, honestly, it was Friday that really started to break me. Maybe it was Thursday night into Friday, but Friday really started to break me. And I did share this story yesterday with my on the Patreon page. So for those of you who have taken the most recent yoga class on the Patreon, I'm going to repeat this story, but I'll give a little bit more context and share a little bit more about it. So Friday sometimes feels like this weird place because it's kind of like the end cap to the Monday through Friday work week, but then it's also kind of the beginning of the work weekend, which, this time of year we have tons of weddings or sessions or engagement sessions and weddings and family sessions and a little bit of everything. And this weekend in particular felt kind of huge because September was our busiest month of the year for weddings, for sessions, for everything. It's been a lot. And I was kind of like looking at this weekend like, okay, we need to get to this weekend. We need to have an awesome weekend. Like, I was kind of looking at it as like, I guess just with like a little bit of extra pressure because I wanted to really end it on a high note. And I always have high expectations for all weddings. But this just kind of felt like this culmination of like putting the bow on this entire month. And the weddings have been a little more stressful than normal because of everything I'm going through with Dave. His work, of course, looks amazing, as always. But his mental state is hard. Like, he's just really, really, really struggling. And so on the weddings that I'm shooting with him, I'm feeling a lot of extra pressure right now to be watching out for him and kind of holding space and directing him and making sure we all do well. And it's a lot of extra pressure. And I've kind of, since we've been through this every single weekend this month, was feeling extra stressed out for this one because I'm just like, I was to this breaking point where I'm like, I can't keep doing this with him. Like, I can't keep feeling all this pressure. Like, I'm about to break. I literally feel like I can't hold it all, especially, when it's the business aside, I can be there all day. But when it comes to the business, it's just like, it's this extra piece of like this heavy rock this heavy boulder that I'm carrying on my shoulders. And, we've talked a lot about it, so I don't mind sharing that with the world right now because he knows it, that's where we are. And we've talked about just how he feels it too, and how much it's hurting him and how much it's affecting us. But so anyway, a little extra pressure going into this weekend. And Friday, I had a little bit of a busy schedule because I had a newborn session, which are always amazing and super fun, but also very unpredictable as far as how much time they'll take. And then I also had a last minute consultation call for a couple who's getting married that wanted to chat. And so with our system, I can block out certain amounts of time, but then things get scheduled. So as I'm trying to kind of work with these new parents that are trying to figure out, and they're so flexible. Like, this couple that just had their baby, they were amazing. They're always amazing to work with. But I had, kind of asked them like, hey, like, what timing do you think we should do for these pictures? Like, when is your little one sleeping, feeding, eating? Like, when is good for you guys? How are you feeling? Blah, blah, blah. And so we're in the middle of this conversation right at the time that this consultation books at like noon. And so then we had to kind of figure out, okay, well, when are we going to do this newborn session? So I'm able to do it for the afternoon, and I figure, okay, this is perfect because I will just pack up everything, take the call on the road, or like I'll start driving towards my session, have the call, and then be able to go right into the newborn session. It'll be perfect. So I pack up everything that morning and I get in the car and I'm driving there. I park, have this great consultation with this couple. They're awesome, so much fun to talk to. Get to the house for the session, get to meet the sweetest, oh my gosh, she was so beautiful, this newborn. And they have like an awesome nursery. The lighting is awesome. Like, everything just felt so good. And I was feeling really reassured, like, okay, this is all awesome. And she's just like so peaceful, and we like wrap her up in the cheesecloth and we put this bow on her, and I'm like, oh my God, she's so perfect. Let's leave her right there while I grab my camera. And I pull out the camera and my battery is dead. And I just have to say, this has never happened in my entire 12 plus years of being a photographer. I am obsessive about carrying extra batteries, extra cards. Like if anything goes wrong, I have my backup stuff. But the night before, we had a ceremony to record, and that kind of threw our normal equipment stuff off. And so Dave had to borrow my camera and then was importing the footage. And I must have literally, like, in my brain remembered checking the battery for him the night before and confused that with when I grabbed my bag thinking I had checked my battery. And because I wasn't using the same equipment that I used for weddings, I grabbed my different bag, and I normally grab my fanny pack too, which even also has extra batteries in it. But apparently I didn't grab that because I was grabbing all the newborn stuff. Like, and I mean, like, I can go back and see how it happened. I also feel like there's no excuse for this because, like, when you're showing up for a job, like, you need to have your stuff together. Of course, that's not to say you can't be a human. I'm also trying to be more gracious with myself and be like, yeah, like, sometimes stuff happens. Like, obviously it does because it did. And literally, like, as soon as I realized that the battery was dead, my heart dropped because I started scrounging through the bag. I'm like, play it cool. Like, everything's fine. I'm sure you have one in here. Like, I'm searching in places I would never put a battery just in case, like, there's a miracle. And I, like, run to my car and I'm, like, looking through there and I'm like, where's my fanny bag? It's not there. I'm like, oh my God, this is really happening. And so I'm like, I walk in, I feel like I must have been, like, as white as a ghost because I was so mortified. And I'm like, the most, like, calm, sweet baby laying there, awesome parents expecting this to work out. And I'm like, I am so sorry. Like, my battery's dead and I don't have another one and I am mortified and I'm so sorry. I have to run home. I live like 35 minutes away from them, and I get in the car and I start, like, crying. Like, I think before the tears started coming, I think, like, slight hyperventilating happened, and I'm, like, trying to rack my brain. I'm like, is there any way I can get to my house faster than literally crossing through one of, like, the worst traffic intersections in Denver in the middle of a day on a Friday? And I'm, like, racking my brain, and I call Dave and I'm like, are you home? Like, can you meet me? He's not home. He's, like, 30 minutes from the house too. So I'm like, F, like, this sucks. This is horrible. This is, like, worst case scenario. So I start driving and I'm like, okay, you know what I'll do instead is there's a Mike's camera that's 15 minutes from here. So I'll go there, buy the battery I need, and come back. So I start heading towards the Mike's camera that's in Denver, and I call up Mike's camera just to make sure they have it in stock. And I'm like, hey, I need this battery. And she's like, well, what's the model number for the battery? And I'm like, I literally do not know. I am driving. I have this session. This is my camera. Like, I literally don't know what to call it. So she starts looking it up and she puts me on hold. And I swear I was on hold for like 8 minutes, like more than half the drive. And I get back, she comes back on the line and she basically is like, hey, like, there's no Canon batteries, like, at all in any of the Mike's cameras. She's like, but we have this ProMaster. So in my head, I'm like, that's fine. Like, I just get it for this and, like, I'll have it and it'll be a good backup, whatever. And she's like, but we don't have any at this location. Do you want me to tell you, like, what other stores? And I'm like, no, that's not what I need. Like, so she comes back on when I'm literally like 3 minutes away from the store. So now I'm off of Colorado Boulevard and I'm in an even worse position to get home than I would have been if I left from their house, because I'm like already 10 minutes out from leaving their house. Plus it's going to take me 40 minutes because of traffic to get to my house. So I start crying. I start losing it. And I'm just, like, stuck. I feel so helpless because I'm like, I literally cannot do anything about this. I cannot change how this is going. I can't make it better. I can't have Dave come meet me. I can't think of a better solution. I can't make a new battery appear. I literally cannot do anything but sit in traffic, cry my eyes out, get home to get the battery, and then drive back out to their house and pray that their sweet little newborn is as amazing as I left her. Because that was the other thing that I just felt so bad about, is it was like, if I go back and she starts to not do as well, or she's really hungry, or she's really cranky, or whatever. I mean, newborns, you can't have any expectations about them. Or if she's really awake when I get back, like all of these things, I was like, in the back of my head, are they going to wonder, like, what would it have been like if our photographer didn't screw up? Like if we would have just kept the normal time. And I'm just feeling all of this fear and I'm just repeating this thing in my head. I just like, I can't control this. I'm about to break. Everything is so much like and this is how like the past couple weeks have felt for me, where it's just like, I have so much to do. I have got so much I'm responsible for. I have so much I'm trying to communicate and work on and share with people and get done and create and design and literally everything. I feel the weight of the world on my shoulders. And instead of being able to just accomplish everything, it's like everything takes me a million times longer than it should. And it just makes me feel like a failure. And I really felt that on this drive, where it's just like, this is my fault. Like I'm losing hours out of my day sitting in traffic, which is one of my worst things in the world. And it is my fault. Like this is my fault for not just pushing the session back so that I could just have the consultation and then get ready for my session and go to the thing. Instead, I was like trying to game the system by like being more efficient with this afternoon chunk of time so that I could be home faster and get more stuff done. And now I've literally screwed myself by making it harder and more painful and embarrassing and, all of these things. As I was driving back, I did have to have this moment where I was like, okay, Felicia, it's time to pull your shit together, because you're about to be around a newborn, and newborns can literally sense so much. Like, I just was like, you've got to clear your energy. Like, if you want this baby to be at all have a chance of being calm and as sweet and perfect as you left her, like, you can't show up at like a frenetic, crying, nervous mess. Like, you've got to be in a place where like your energy is calm too. So I really worked on that, and ended up having a great session once I got there. Like, the couple was amazing. Like, these couple, I've worked with them for the past couple years, did their wedding, did their engagement session, and they were just so understanding. Like, what a gift from the universe that they were so compassionate towards me and laid back, and like, it's fine. Like, we didn't have anything else going on. Like, we just picked up like as though this whole crazy thing hadn't happened. And the baby was perfect. She was so sleepy, and we were able to get everything done that we needed to. And I was so excited to get home and actually send them some sneak peeks, and they loved them, and that felt awesome. But after that, like, I felt like I was shot, and I felt like I was like extra cursed, because here I am trying to go into this weekend that I'm extra stressed about, because it's like my last wedding now of the year, where Dave is shooting video at the same time as I'm shooting photo. And I just literally felt myself like desperate, like praying to God, like, please let us get through this. Because of how bad things have been lately. And just trying not to freak myself out too much, but I get nervous before weddings too. Like, they mean a lot to me, and it's just a lot. It's a lot, and it's a lot when you're doing it week after week after week, or sometimes multiple times a week. And so I'm really feeling that right now in my body and in my brain, that I am just starting to feel like I am at the bottom of the barrel. Like, I don't have a lot of extra padding in there. I don't have a lot of extra resources. I'm starting to feel like I'm scratching the bottom of the barrel. And that's just a scary place to be when you still have a ways to go. And I'm trying not to, even though I'm bumping up against that place, I'm trying not to live there. I'm trying to accept that that's where I'm at, and also understand that, hey, like, you can replenish your cup. Like, you can, like you might be feeling like you're working overtime a little bit to just try to pull in resources. But if that's what it means to stay as sane as you can, like, that's where I am. And Saturday went awesome. The wedding was perfect. Like, it was absolutely beautiful. Dave did a great job. Our assistant was with us. He was awesome. At the same time, we had more teams out working on another wedding it looked amazing. I'm so excited for that one too. I can't wait to see more of the pictures as they come in. But we made it, and we got home, and it was the longest day that our dog, Brad, has ever been home alone. So he's a spoiled dog because he had such bad separation anxiety. A lot of you guys know that story. And so he had lots of babysitters and doggy daycares and different things. And ever since we got back from our trip to Chicago, I have not brought him back to the doggy daycare because I felt like we kind of had a little bit of a bad experience picking him up, and he had really bad, like, eye boogers after we picked him up, like really, really bad, to the point where after like a week and a half, I had to take him to the doctor. And so normally I would have just like put him in doggy daycare for part of the day and then asked my mom to like bring him back home. But even if we wanted to do that, it wasn't an option because my mom was out of town this weekend too. So we were kind of just like, okay, we're just gonna have to roll the dice and see how he does. And he did awesome. He did awesome. I mean, obviously don't want to do that to him as infrequently as we can, right? We don't want him to have to go through that very often, but he did awesome. We got through it. I was just like so excited for Sunday for like everything to feel better. And instead, like, yesterday was just a hard day too. Like, I think that I've really hit that point where like I'm starting to feel all of the feelings. I'm starting to feel angry. I'm starting to feel resentful. I'm starting to feel like I'm losing it. I'm starting to feel like I can't catch up. I'm starting to feel like so tired of the same conversations that I keep having. I'm so tired of being behind. I'm so tired of dealing with my computer. That's what really pushed me over the edge yesterday, was dealing with my computer and that spinning wheel of death. Don't worry, everyone, if you're listening to this, like, all of the pictures are fine. Everything is backed up. It's just going much slower than I need. And I have to pause myself for just a moment because we come to this place. This is kind of where I started today's episode, is talking about speed. And I feel this overwhelming like need to be moving quickly, needing to have answers, needing to have stuff to deliver, needing to have content, needing to have something to say, needing to just have 10 minutes to get emails out or communication delivered, or honestly, like pictures and videos and just, I mean, album designs. And on top of it, I'm feeling like my Virgo rising part of me that needs some organization is like freaking out that my house is not in perfect order right now, because that helps keep me sane. And I literally don't have enough hours or enough energy or enough hands or enough bandwidth to juggle everything that I'm dealing with right now. And I'm really tempted to pause this recording right now and erase saying that, because I don't want to sound complainy. And I promise you that I'm getting ready to go into a much, hopefully, better section. But I'm going to keep that in there just because hearing that part of my truth matters, right? Like, it matters for me to be able to own that, even though I don't feel like I should say that, or that I have it bad enough. I feel complainy saying that. But that's, what I'm kind of feeling. And so when I went to bed last night, I was just like, all right, I have to be done for this day. I have to relax my shoulders. I had this whole day kind of protected so that I could kind of move through it how I needed. And I thought, what I really need to do is when I wake up, I'm going to clean the bathrooms. I'm going to clean the bathrooms, and cleaning the bathrooms is going to give me so much peace, and it's going to be such a big win, and it's going to be something that I feel like I can make progress in and see it, and I'm going to feel the effects of having clean bathrooms all week, and it's going to be so great. And after I clean the bathrooms, I'll be able to record the podcast, and then I'll be able to work the rest of the day, and tomorrow is going to be a great day, and it's going to be the beginning of a great week. So I wake up this morning, and I am less than 10 minutes into cleaning the bathrooms when Dave comes up to me in a state of kind of panic about his heart. And I just snap. And I was like, well, you need to call the doctor, or you need to call our friends, or like, you need to do something about it. And I just freaked out because I'm like, I just started crying, and I couldn't stop crying. And I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't stop everything that I'm trying to do to figure out if like this is the moment that like he needs me, or if this is just going to be a moment where like we don't get any big answers. Like, I mean, it's just, this has been the biggest mind fuck, honestly, trying to move through everything that he's dealing with. And I know that he cannot help it. I know that he's going through something very real right now, but I'm just like about ready to lose it. And I lost it in this moment, because I'm like, all I needed was 45 minutes to clean the effing bathrooms. Like, that's what I need. I need 45 minutes to clean bathrooms without being interrupted and having to put everything down and stop and be in this vicious cycle that I need a break from too. I need a break from this too. And so I let myself cry the entire time I cleaned the bathrooms. And I just cried and I cried, and I felt the anguish that I'm feeling. I felt the frustration. I felt the loneliness. I felt the anger that I have that we're going through this at what feels like the worst possible time. The anger towards my computer that does not feel that old, that is apparently old and is the reason why it keeps behaving like it does. Angry at the stuff we've had to buy this year. Angry at the like financial pressure and stress that I'm feeling right now, even though like I can't take on any more right now. I can't do much about that right now. Angry at everything. Angry, and I was crying because I'm crying because my sweet dog is laying out in the hall, and I'm just like, I haven't paid it. It's gonna make me cry right now, but I'm just like, I wish I had more time to just pay more attention to my dog. And I know that these things probably feel kind of trivial, because I know that there are those of you out there listening to this that like are facing a lot harder things. But I think we can all share in that moment of just feeling helpless and feeling like pulled in these directions that we can't do anything about. So I felt it. I'm still feeling it, obviously. You can tell by the tears that have come. And I just had to kind of let go, because there was a part of me that kept saying like, you need to be more compassionate to Dave. Like you should go talk to him, make sure that he's okay, make sure, whatever. And this other part of me was like, no, like, he is a grown man who can take care of himself. He can call a telehealth doctor. He can have the conversations he needs. He has a million friends he can reach out to. He does not need me to have this conversation with him right now. He's not dying. Like, he can make it through this day. And that's what I was a little scared of, is I was like, what if he does just keel over and die? And that's terrifying. But I was like, that's not going to happen, is what I had to keep telling myself. And I did find myself, so I stayed cleaning the bathroom and I stayed crying, but I did check on him like every 10 minutes or so, just would yell like, hey, and then he'd be like, what? And I'm like, nothing. Just wanted to make sure he was still alive. And that's kind of, I guess, what I kind of tried to get through. My mom called during all of that, and I cried to her for a little while. And then after Dave did have his telehealth appointment with the doctor, he was able to get answers, and he helped me clean the rest of the house. And I really needed that. I really, really needed that. Like, for me, that's what I needed, is like, I needed to be able to walk down the stairs and like walk into a clean kitchen and have our laundry get done, or at least going, and have the bed made and have the bathrooms clean, because I feel like I'm losing control over everything right now, and I feel not good enough. But having a clean house right now helps me feel like somehow everything is okay, even though it doesn't feel okay. So once we got all that done, it started to bring the stress down just a little bit, and I was able to make some good dents in my day, and I was just kind of pushed recording this back to a moment where I could really be a little bit more thoughtful and intentional. And what I really got on here to say, and I'm feeling, like I said, a little bit embarrassed that it's taken me so long to get to this point, because I thought the whole podcast was going to be about this. And maybe I will be able to share more about this in a future episode too. But I just wanted to get to this place where I could just have a moment to really feel what I feel grateful for, when there is so much that feels hard and overwhelming and worth resenting. Because those are the moments that I think the gratitude counts the most. And those are the moments, especially as we get closer towards like Thanksgiving, that I think we take for granted, and we turn to things that are more cliche to be grateful for, as opposed to really finding like, okay, things are freaking shit right now. What do I actually feel grateful for? And that's what I tried to switch around to this afternoon. So I just wanted to share with you some of those things that I am feeling really grateful for. The first thing that I'm feeling really grateful for is this MacBook Pro that we got. We kind of got it at the last minute. I had been resisting buying it for a long time, and because my main computer has been so slow, it has forced me to do a lot more work with it, and it's working so well. And even though it is stressful trying to set up the little pieces, the potential is there, and it feels so good. And in fact, I'm actually recording this on our new computer, and that feels amazing too, because it's working so much better, and it actually has like 2 ports, so it has the place that I can charge it at the same time as I can plug in my mic to record, which I've been working off of an old MacBook that does not have that ability. It just has 1 port. So this feels like a very big deal, and it feels very cool to be able to use that feature. And I almost didn't. I literally, when I sat down, had brought in my old MacBook. Just, I guess I like to do things the same way. But I couldn't, because even though I thought I had been charging it, apparently the charging block was only partially connected to the wall the entire last 24 hours that I had been charging it for that reason to record today. And it was dead when I tried to use it. So luckily this works really well. And so it's awesome. I'm feeling very grateful that in spite of everything going on with Dave, that he got another wedding video done. And I'm so excited that we get to deliver that to a couple today and that they get to see their wedding video back and remember those memories and see them. If you guys want to check it out, it's going live on our Instagram today. And I'm so excited. It has a really beautiful butterfly release in the middle of the ceremony. So if you want to check that out, it was really cool. I'm feeling so, so grateful that we were able to get that out. And there's a lot of people that I'm feeling really grateful for right now. I like all of my team with Felicia Marty Photo Video. There are such amazing people on our team that are just helping me keep it all together, even when I feel like I'm about to lose it. They are dependable and awesome and creating awesome experiences for our clients and doing amazing work. And I'm really grateful both for their dedication to the business, but also just being there. Like, we've had a lot of things get shuffled around and they've been there. And gosh, there's so many clients right now that have been just blowing my mind with how wonderful and understanding they are. And just sharing the love. Like, we've been getting so much love this month. And I'm having a moment where I'm just really feeling and taking that in, like all of the thank you cards we've gotten filled with like gratitude, all of the text messages that I've got just saying how awesome we've been, like that. I'm a words of affirmation person, and I have just been really feeling like, in spite of all of, the crap that kind of seems to be dumping in and around me, like there's also so much love, and there's so much of that need being met inside of me, which I am so grateful for that. And I'm grateful that last week I got a chance to see some really good girlfriends. I've missed them, and I don't have very much free time available for that. And to be able to make that happen meant a lot to me. I'm grateful for yoga. Yesterday, I was able to practice an entire yoga class and record it and teach it, and I really needed that. And I have been so grateful for my meditation practice and for this closet, to be able to sit here and just get quiet and quiet my mind. It feels like a really big deal. And I'm grateful that Dave is somewhat open to that. Last week he let me kind of walk him through a guided meditation, and that night was the first night that he slept through the night. It didn't work the second night. We tried to do another meditation. It didn't work for the next night, but that's okay. It's something that I have to practice what I preach. I keep telling him, I'm like, each day is going to be different. You got to take your wins where you can, and you have to take any losses with a grain of salt, because it's sometimes you're going to think you're making progress and then you're going to end up backtracking. And I think that's true too. But I have been really trying to be grateful for those wins. And, this morning when I was crying my eyes out, it was because I really thought that I wasn't going to get any support today. And so to have Dave show up and kind of be able to today to carry the load of our house and making, he did that for me, and he had to really push himself, and it really meant a lot to me. And I'm feeling really grateful for that. And I'm grateful always for my mom, who is always there to listen to me and encourage me and to talk to Dave. And there's so many others, my best friend Amber, she's been invaluable with that part of this journey too. And, it's in these moments when I really sit with what I'm actually really grateful for that I do start to shift into that place where I'm like, okay, it's not the end of the world. But I really do think it's important to really sit with what you're really grateful for. And sometimes you have to start out with those more trivial things, right? Like the computer, or the warm bed to sleep in, or taking your contacts out. Sometimes you got to start with the little things that you feel actually grateful for because it matters to you in that moment. And then maybe it can kind of trickle down. I don't think it helps, at least not for me. It doesn't help to be grateful for the more global things that you feel obligated to be grateful for, like, oh, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my education. I mean, there's things that feel like a little bit more cliche, and for me, taking that route doesn't help me. But finding the little things, like I'm grateful for toilet bowl brushes when I'm cleaning the bathrooms. It's like things like that really can help you kind of really be in that perspective and feel that gratitude in your heart. So anyway, I will wrap this up by saying I am grateful for all of you. Thank you for tuning in today. Let's do a card reading, shall we, to close today's episode. I've got the Wild Offerings deck. I've been really into this deck this past couple weeks. Has each of these messages is a little prayer, and I just feel like that I really resonate with that right now. Oh, no way. Oh my God. I just pulled the card that says gratitude. It says, find just one thing that you feel grateful for right now and let that gratitude pour through your body. It is a healing balm like the warmth of the sun. I literally can't believe that I pulled that card right now. There's so many of these cards that I've like never pulled before, because sometimes with card drawings, like you get the same one over and over, like a theme in your life. Like I always pull the impatience card or the patience card, or what are some of the other ones? There's one called solitude that I get a lot, but I've never gotten the gratitude card. And I just feel like that was kind of magical. So yeah, gratitude. That's how we're going to end today's episode. I am sorry for crying so much this episode. I hope that it doesn't make it less likable to listen to. Hopefully next week when I come back, I will be able to share some new perspectives, some new adventures. We have a new moon that's coming up next week that I'm hoping to talk about, and I'll be doing a new moon guide on the Patreon. A new meditation will be dropping this week too. And yeah, we're just going to keep doing the best that we can. So thank you so much for joining me today. It means the world. And until next time.